Hello everyone.
Hello.
This is a little spontaneous review of the year, a little check-in about the year that has gone and what we are moving into in the near future. And some of you have kindly written us some questions, something you want us to reflect upon. And we'll try to kind of spin highlights and lowlights and learnings into this little share.
Yeah, and if any questions come up and you're watching, you can feel free to write them in if you have questions about us or embodied intimacy or anything else. Hey, Gunther.
So just like to start with a brief check-in. Just noticing I'm feeling really full, on to the point of overwhelm, and yet there's a calm through my system. This last year has definitely made a mark. So many things have happened that are so beyond even me and Rachel, and the collaborations. Feels like we have entered in a river of abundance with people who are really blossoming and becoming themselves, joining and kind of expanding the power that is moving us forward. And yet, sitting here right now, I'm noticing I'm feeling this layer in my brain of slight tiredness and a little daze. And enjoying the thought of, after the last module, before we leave for India, imagining spending 4 weeks in India for this Panchakarma treatment. So self-care is just around the corner, while this body will get to just completely unplug. I think that's
your check-in?
an introduction, at least.
Yeah. Well, I'm really excited to be literally sitting here right now in our greenhouse of our new nest in Berlin, which is literally like reflecting back to us the enormous growth that keeps taking place all around us. So we've filled this nest with these beautiful green plants, and they're like exploding everywhere around us, all over our house. We're going to be in like a Jumanji jungle very soon. Just like the plants will take over. And it's super symbolic because Booster and I led a workshop here in Berlin, January 2019, in this space. And it was our first workshop working with a team of assistants. Before that, we had always just done all of our workshops more or less alone. Maybe with one helper or something, but it was the first time we had a team of people who were trained in what embodied intimacy is. And Gunther was one of those people, and Leonard and Nile and Luca, and we were here in this space, and that's when the first idea of us living in this space came even to be an idea. And it was like immediately we knew. We were like, oh, this is going to be our space. And I started walking around, and before the workshop was over, I had redecorated the whole place, decided where we were going to put the kitchen. And so it's, like we couldn't have dreamed to get, I think we had like a living in community and having a center dream that was about 5 years. From now. And so we fast-tracked that, and we're here. And phase 1 is officially complete, which is this portion of the space that is the event space, and we'll take over another portion of the space where more people will come to live with us and more of a communal vibe will start to be inhabiting more of the day-to-day life of this space, so it isn't just Booster and I running the show, which it has been for some time now. So we celebrated New Year's here last night with a group of like 40 people, and it was like the perfect celebration of this year that we've been through together, and it feels so good to have this space now where we can it's one thing to go away and work and go to different spaces and infuse those spaces with our vibration. And it's another thing to host the space and keep inviting that vibration in. And then literally like a nest, nourishing and feeding people and sending them out of the nest with that vibration to carry out into the world. So that's a really big, beautiful expansion and shift that we've undertaken this year. And my hostess and my what is maybe just hostess, something else, is really nourished and challenged. It's one thing to run an event in a space and another thing for it to also be your home. So I'm still learning a lot about relaxing and letting go and allowing people to help support me, so I'm not doing it all on my own.
Yeah, the thing about receiving support has been huge. I remember the initiation, the idea of even starting a training came quite some time ago. It was about almost 3 years ago. Was it 2 years ago? Anyhow, it came after supporting other people, bringing people that we respected a lot, like David Cates and Uma, and we really supported their work because we were benefiting from their work by the collaborations, and we were like taking their knowledge and infusing it into the community and the work that we were having. Yet at some point I realized that I was empty. There was nothing coming towards us, or there was nothing for us. It was like, it was like ready to take my seat, to take our seat. So to come up with the training, to come up with the copy, and to begin to bring people online, and to then step in, and this is what was happening a year after that, was an amazing process. Yet in the beginning, without the appropriate support, it was really a really rocky and scary ride, because we were so limited in our capacity, because we had to be all roles. So for example, we were there as facilitators, we were there as organizers, we were there as kind of caretakers of the facility that we were having the workshop in. And so it was so difficult to know, like, who is talking, who you're talking to, how can I help you, what are your needs? And so it was a really rocky ride. And so with the additional support and learning how to form a team that helps the whole field, the whole group, and to delineate responsibilities and to basically structure how the people who come and work with us can get their help and how we can serve them, but it's within a whole system, has been such a relief to my nervous system.
Yeah, it's like I think what has formed, like, I don't know, this word of like things forming, hardening, like is that, so the work that Booster and I do through embodiment, the nervous system, trauma awareness, the work that we've done over the last 5 years in our relationship to support each other into deeper levels of evolution and growth and expansion as a couple, it feels like a whole now community of people stepped into that and said, oh, I get that. That works for me. I know how to do that. That makes sense. I can do that. oh my gosh, if I change my body, all of a sudden my reality starts to change. Oh my gosh, I'm watching you, and I know that that's your trigger, and I know that that's your instinct, and I know how to I know how to call you back to being present and in the moment with me. So it was like a group of people who resonated so deeply with the work, formulated around us and said, oh yes, I get this, I want in on that. And so what I see that our community now is doing, which is us, the people who have trained to do our work, the people who they're connected to, the people who are coming to the events, is a group of people who are dedicated to like evolving through relating. That we can't do this alone. That's an established kind of known fact in this space.
We only thrive together.
We only thrive together. And so now we keep coming together, and each time it's like, and we go away and we integrate, and when we go away and we integrate, and when we go away and we integrate. And it's such a pleasure and relief, and to see other people doing what what has come so naturally to us and worked so well for us, to see now an embedded team that's like, yeah, okay, I got this. We're doing this. We're going to change the world together. We're going to support each other together. We're going to do this. And it's doable. And the results are strikingly obvious. Everyone who comes is like, the people who've been journeying with us for a week are just more, I don't want to say they're different people, but they're more themselves.
They're more themselves.
It's like, I don't know how to say this. It's like less of what they thought they should be and more of who they actually are. And there's something for me that's so rewarding about going on that journey with people. And not only now going on that journey with people, but going on that journey with people who support other people to do that. It's like, we want everyone to be more of who they authentically are. That is the name, and what we are is love, and that's what we want to be together and what we want to abide in. And it just becomes so easy and beautiful then. Well, and complicated. It's a little complicated too.
It's basically everything. I mean, I think it's almost like a little bit of a hologram in a way. What the work we do is what we do with our love network, which then goes out into a group, which goes into a community, and it's something that we all have inherently. We are like tapping into an intelligence that is within everything, basically. So, ultimately, I don't know how to love you. I don't know how to love Rachel. Like, I don't know mechanically how to engineer the perfect way that I can be with Rachel. Of course, I'm learning, and yet the confrontation that keeps happening in my life, which is very, very challenging, is that I come up to the brink of my capacity, basically, of like knowing how to love Rachel now, from where I'm at, where she's at, where people are around us, and yet they're like, in daring to just be in the unknown, in daring to be in that uncomfortable feeling of fear, and yet kind of a trust in that there's something bigger that is living us in a way, then these strategies, these perspectives that were formed a long time ago, they now have a counterpoint, they have a counterweight, which is something that is submerging from within. Submerging, right? Emerging from underneath, which is like, it's almost like the water's coming up through all and everything. So it's like, it's not just my single-handed experience, it's like there's something that feels really true in our bodies and our hearts. And that's that coming home to ourselves, which is coming home to our togetherness, which is coming home to that unity that is keep pulsating, my heart contracting, expanding, like contracting, letting go. And it seems like so we all have to do. We all have to keep on going with the contraction, even though we kind of know it's, it's my fucked up self, it's the strategy that I once used, and it's the attitude I once had, and That's all I have right now. I might feel like I'm gonna fuck this up again, yet fully going there within this consciousness and having you say, you know, for example, I'm noticing I'm shutting down, I'm losing interest, and I don't believe you. When I'm in this pattern response and me having this reaction to that at first of like, whoa, I want your empathy, I want you to, you know, be with me. But really I'm in this trauma vortex where I want to pull Rachel into my drama and my trauma and, you know, be a victim and all of that. But that moment of you holding consciousness for me to mirror myself in, like, yeah, you're right. Surrendering into, oh, I'm back, I feel the love, and it's slightly embarrassing. Yet I think that's the thriving together. It isn't that we will teach you the new skills how to be the best you. No, we kind of help you shave off the layers within an environment that challenges you, that pushes you, that confronts you. Yet when you let go into yourself, into who you really are. And that includes your individual unique gifts. As you see, all these plants, they're different. And it wouldn't be the same if we sat here and every plant was exactly the same. Yeah, so through like not knowing how to love you, yet I know what love is. And that's who I am, and that's who you are, and then we emerge and we evolve continually.
So we set with the intention to this video to answer some questions on a post we asked the other day, which we've been semi-successful and also not successful at answering. But I think we're just rolling with it. But if you have questions while you're watching, you can type them in and we can answer them. What was one of the things I was going to say? Oh, but one of the questions were, which was super interesting for me because it speaks a lot to what you're speaking about now, and there's like where we've been and where we're going. And so what I think is really like what's really cool to me about our work is that it's very alive. That it isn't like this is it and we do this workshop in this sequence in this way and we do step 1, 2, 3 and that's the end all be all of what embodied intimacy is. It's like our work is a constant evolution, and every single space, every single training is different, even if it's the same training. It's a new day, it's a new week, we're new people, we have new information, like we are a constant
chaos.
No, I think it's beautiful. It's evolution. It's moving somewhere. It's alive. And in that is like one of the things that's really happened for me this year is our work with embodiment is a pillar, is a foundation for something else. And that something else for me might be a lot about what 2020 might be for me. It's something that I know, it's a language, it's a signature, it's a happening, it's an experience, it's an opening, it's a channel, it's a portal, it's a ecstasis, is this like this flow state that happens in group fields. And this is something, it's like, oh, this is, if I could dedicate 100% of my time to this, I would. And this thing, this magic unknown entity thing, is what all of our work has been building us towards unknowingly. So it's not like I knew this at the beginning, oh, if we do this, we're going to get there. But it's like, wow, the more we do this, the more something is showing itself to us. And something is taking us. And that something is a life force, embodied ancient wisdom in our blood and cells and bones and organs that's more tapped in and turned on than our thinking minds could ever be. So this next year, a lot of the work that we're doing, especially with Christian Pankhurst, and I believe David Cates might come back for a sneak appearance, is a lot more moving towards this, which are emergent group field spaces. So, and I don't know how else to say much more about it, because it's almost one of those things that when someone hears it, they just, like, that was for me, I just knew, oh, I know that. I'm supposed to be there. That's what we're doing. Yet, that's not for everyone. So it's very elusive and like a mysterious space, because we actually never know what's going to happen. I just know that what happens in a mystery, in an open space of people who are embodied, present, aware, touching, breathing, synchronized. Something in that space starts to open and take us. And my research would lead me to believe where it is taking us is towards healing and wholeness, and whatever is next for us in our evolution of being spiritual beings, spiritual human beings on this planet.
And in a way, we are seeing how we are bringing the tribe back. How this is a tribal technology where the group field becomes more and more what is leading us versus the individual and the pair. There's a field that's coming through the whole collective intelligence. And that's, when you're talking about reconnecting us with the ancient intelligence, I think culturally, this is what we've been divided separate from the earth, as if we are anything different than earth.
Just like our divided separate from our bodies. I think it's the same.
Yeah.
The separation from the body is the separation from the earth.
Totally.
And when what we see here is that is an essential piece of being aware of your body, and in a way like not having your body control you. Your body, your emotions, like your states, be in control of your next every movement, but having actually like a higher intelligence and wisdom that is aware of the body, listening to the body, understanding the different signals from the body, yet still choosing like wholeness and goodness above what I would call like instinctual responses for safety or power or control. Are there any other questions that you felt inspired to respond to?
Yeah.
Do you have any questions?
There's a question around what were, if you look back at the last year, what were the failures that you would keep repeating? And I think it's an interesting question, because I think if there's anything that stops me from doing anything, it's my perfectionism. It's for me to wait until I'm perfect. For example, starting the training, it was just like, I was just ready, like screw it. I'm not perfect, I'm far from perfect. Actually, a lot of my imperfection and owning them is part of the gift that I'm offering this world, that I'm so far from perfect. So that I am kind of a failure. I fail in how to love you, I fail in how to guide you, I'll fail how to be the best partner to you. And yet in the owning of that and continually learning from that feedback and repairing, I'm giving you the permission to be a human being and not be perfect, not go away to perfect yourself. So I would say, even though I keep failing, to get up and keep taking the next step, trusting that even though I don't know what might be the next best step, just taking a step is all that matters. Just like I'm going to do my best, even though it means that I'm going to be instinctual, I'm going to be reactive, it's going to come from trauma. I trust that I do my best. I trust that you do your best, even though it really sucks. I trust that I do my best given my capacity at the moment, even though it means that I have aggression, even though it means that I isolate, even though it means that I shut down, even though like all these states will come and go. And there isn't an ideal way of being. It is just every moment I'm doing my best and trusting that. And even when I don't know how to take a next step, that is my next step. So in a way, my continual failures is allow my humanity to be present and surrendering more and more to what is in a way. And then experiencing that there is more of a flow that is regardless if I prefer it or not, or if I have done XYZ or something else. Like there's something larger that has become visible and tangible, in letting myself off the hook in a way. And in a way, that gives as well, like my weakness is your strength. It's like, I can never do this without Rachel. And Rachel and I cannot do this without so-and-so. And so, like, it's almost like we all give our best in different ways. And I am really bad at certain things, but someone else is really good at that. So, you know, it's like these ecology, you know, the fact that everything depends upon everything else, and we all fit in different ways. It's like becoming aware of the ecology in a way, the ecosystem, that I have something and I don't have other things, that brings more of a complete mosaic of richness that I can relax into.
Yeah. What I will add to this actually on your behalf, because one of the questions was what makes you trustable, and I think the thing that makes you the most trustable, Booster, is that despite how many times and how royally you fuck up, you are incredible at repairing. Like, you have really mastered the art of repair. So for me, as your partner in all of these ways, there's a certain safety knowing that you'll always repair with me, that there won't be a break that will be unrepairable, that I really trust you, that you'll lean in towards doing the work with me. And I believe that also falls into this same category of like something you do again and again, because it is through the wear and tear of the tumbling over and figuring out how to repair that you learn how to love better and learn how to be a better teacher, leader, partner, community member, friend. And that's what I get to learn through witnessing you. That's so beautiful. You are my greatest teacher of that.
Thank you. I think there's one more question here around if you imagine yourself 10 years from now, when you look back.
Do you want me to read it?
Yeah.
Assume it's December 31st, 2030, and you're looking back at an incredibly amazing decade. Everything went perfect. What did you do? How did embodied intimacy develop, and what was your role in it? What's the new normal regarding intimacy after these 10 years with the global intimacy movement? What have we achieved, and what's still ahead? It's an amazing question. I'm going to turn on another light because I think we're getting darker. But you can...
Yeah, I think what went incredibly well, if I look back from 2030 to 2020, and in this decade, is that there were a lot of people who came through that training who were so empowered, almost like they became seeds that then like came from the mother tree. They were put out in different cities, and it was almost like then they began to grow and they began to teach their trainings, and that it became like this incredible fertilization and seed. What do you call it when you spread the seeds? That we see that we have inspired so many people to be themselves in the most raw and authentic and brilliant ways that they are, within the simple context and practice of becoming the most intimate with our sensations, with our present moment experience, and the most intimate with one another, and within that then generating this group field that is evolving us through feedback systems and thriving together. And so I think that is like an incredible accomplishment if I look back from 2030, where there's so many people. It might be like 50 people, 100 people, like I don't know the magnitude of it, but I really see that now we're living in a global village, that we can travel to different cities, and there will be groups, there will be people who have nests like we have a nest, that is a hub for people who want to explore human contact, who wants to learn through and by sharing the arts, by creating laboratories, like what is this thing love? What is this thing called presence? What is this thing called spirituality? And really for us to go into infancy, into the unknown, and re-explore and rediscover, and like really like step into this incredible gift of life that's been given to us. And to kind of move from the outskirts of this society, being the people who live on the fringes, the gypsies who travel the world, who are looked down upon because we deal with software, you know, with feelings, with sensations, with spirituality. We don't like go for making money or the security in buying a house or blah, like the conventional way, right? Seeing that as the world is now falling down conventionally, now these people have come through. They will be the leaders of the future because they know how to hang out in the unknown and how to create something out of nothing. And to actually tap into the energy and be able to translate it and help other people who haven't gone this path to make sense out of what's actually right here, like this incredible resource that we have. And so it will then these villages, these schools and trainings, this workshop will become new sources of inspiration, new hubs of empowerment for a world that needs to find like abundant resources within, and within a togetherness, and by creating fields of trust where perhaps the old structures that help us feel trust in some way by having something to hold on to are falling down. People like, can I trust you, or going to take what I have? Now we develop an ability to trust ourselves and trust one another, and build love into the next world that we are creating.
Yeah, there's like, it dawns on me that there is a in the next years, the spectrum will continue to grow, where children these days are impacted by less and less of like real, authentic human connection, and more of screens and social programs and relating in virtual realities. And so I see this spectrum growing further of people going this way, and the need for this, like, what actually makes us human, to keep evolving as humans and not just robotic. Think like there's an incredible evolution happening with our consciousness and our thinking mind. And my wish or hope or dream for the next 10 years would that be that the embodied revolution keeps up with the way that consciousness is continuing to also develop. And that's why I think these spaces will become more important over the years, because there will be more opportunities and more distractions pulling away from. And so the knowing and the commitment to still show up to these spaces will become more and more important for us and for our children. And this kind of new age that we just posted an event, which is a kind of festival, like a micro festival this summer, called Tribal Emergence. And it is all about this. It is about creating now our own age of Aquarius, which is where society is heading. We're moving from the age of Pisces into Aquarius. And this is more about the group field, about tribal love. This is where we're going. Astrologically, whether we like it or not, this is where humanity is evolving towards. And so if there are a group of us who are already in alignment with that vibration and vibrating that frequency and want to invite more of the world into it, this space is like a lighthouse, a satellite house for that, to call people in to be ambassadors of this new way of being for our children. And on Christmas Eve, I was sitting at a breakfast with this man, Christian, and crying at this opening, crying at the possibility that I could be a part of creating a better world for future generations, that I could help seed a life, seed a movement that would make the lives of all the beings who came after me better, that revolves around love and connectedness. Yeah, I can't imagine that my life could be worth something more than that. To create spaces where we can continue to come together to see what is the next evolution of what it means to be a human and be together. And to come into more and more harmony and synergy with the planet. It's been quite a while so far.
Yeah, and I just want to speak into like another layer that evolves among what we've been talking about in terms of the tribal field. There's this sense of leaving no one behind.
Yay.
Where I very much have an imprint of having to survive alone. That for me, originally, I didn't reach towards people when I had pain, because I learned very early that there was no one forthcoming. There wasn't anyone there when I had pain and I was screaming. It was just met with emptiness. So I learned that, well, I have to deal with this pain first by numbing it out in different ways, which led me on a path of regulating through compulsive, obsessive behaviors, and which took me into hell realm pretty quickly, which then says, do you want to live? Do you want to die? And that brought me on to this path of beginning to learn to relate to others, even from a place of pain, and which makes me feel vulnerable. And and in that new learning, I'm gaining more and more trust, and yet still there are moments when I'm triggered where I'm not trustworthy, which was like another question. When are you trustworthy and when are you not trustworthy? Like, I'm not trustworthy when I'm triggered, because when I'm triggered, I don't have enough capacity to hold all that I am. I am literally split. I'm divided in, for example, I want to be this person, I want to be this cool, I want to have this capacity, and yet I'm scared upon this thought of you guys doing this. I'm terrified, I'm a little baby, and I'm I know I'm not either or. I'm not the ideal me, nor am I the baby, but in moments when I'm not fully home, I cannot hold either. I feel torn, I feel the misery of, fuck, I've judged myself for being too needy or too scared, and I'm judging myself for not being the person I really want to be. But I'm, and then for somebody out there to say, hey, I'm not going to leave you behind. I'm not going to make any moves until you have a full-hearted yes for moving forward here. I'm like until I really feel you, like holding these two parts. I'm right here. I'm right here with you. And to receive that has been very healing, and to be able to offer that is very healing. Because it basically says that I'm lovable the way I am. And this is an idea that I cannot get alone. And so when I feel that, it's almost like something relaxes in me, and then my heart pops back. And then there's a little bit more room for these separate parts of me, like, okay, I'm okay if you can hold that, then I can hold that. And then again, I'm trustworthy, because then I can embrace these two parts that are in some kind of apparent contradictions. And then I'm whole again. Yeah.
Yeah. What it's funny because I know what you're talking about, and I don't know if it translates, but Booster is kind of indirectly sharing about a big process and expansion that we've been through in our open relating dynamic, and how it's also served in your kind of personal awakening and evolution, which is a super beautiful story, and happening for some time. But what I love about this is this leave no one behind that you started with, which is the essence of this, is when relating in this way, that we do it in such a way that we don't leave anyone behind. In other contexts I've been a part of, we would call it moving at the pace of the slowest feet, so that everyone is moving at the speed of love together. And I'm aware that many people who've watched our videos or who've followed us have done so through the open relating context, because in a way, we've been open relating for more or less the 5 years that we've been together, and what has made our open relationship possible is the work that we do with embodiment. Is that I don't do open relating because I'm some kind of free-spirited, already a relationally evolved version of myself that isn't triggered or upset or threatened by Booster being with other women. I do it because it's also me healing my own trauma, and it's and me on my own personal journey and my relational journey of growth. And what did I want to say? Yeah, so I'm aware that we made a lot of videos around our journey of open relating, because it was like so much was happening for us, and it was so alive, and we haven't been doing that actually. We don't really make videos. We haven't made a lot of videos at all anymore, and especially not about open relating, because for a lot of reasons, but for me it also felt like it became so intense to share about our personal journey on our professional page, and the kind of contradicting things that people would share about this, like some people would really love it, and some people would be so disturbed and hating us and coming to our events thinking that they were going to turn into an orgy or something like this, or that we were trying to make everyone open. So there became some complications around that, but I really believe that not open relating per se, but this open-hearted love field where a tribe or group of people loves and cares about one another and wants love to flow through freely. Like Tamara says, beyond fear there's lies and violence. Like to have a love that is so pure, that isn't to say like threatened or shying away from more love flowing through the field. Like this is also for me part of this movement into Age of Aquarius. And last night, while I was kind of laying in bed, we had this beautiful tribal gathering here yesterday for New Year's, and there was so much love in the field and so much overlapping, connected love that was moving through. And somehow in the early hours of the morning or the late hours of last night, I was having these visions of running some spaces. I haven't told you this yet. Of running like some spaces where we actually bring people who are vibing with this open relating or free love paradigm together to actually like do that deep relational work together in a held space, like an open relating retreat or something. Like these visions, and there was different practices that were coming to me about how we would do this. We're going into low power mode, so it's the last moments. So anyway, I just wanted to share that as a very interesting kind of vision or manifestation that is coming through me to create these spaces where we can really use our embodied work to like go deeper into the relational dynamics that are bubbling through us. Because I've never heard of that even. Have you ever heard of an open relating retreat?
No, and I've been talking to a brother of mine who said, hey, why don't we do this? And so it's definitely in the air. A couple of weeks ago, we were talking about actually meeting, not as a workshop, but as like...
just as people.
Within the love network that we have here in Berlin, there's a need to come together and deepen into the temple.
We have to do it together. Yeah, so if that is interesting for you, I would love to hear about that. That's interesting for you, or where you're resonating with anything that we've shared.
I think it's terrifying.
Or super scary. And if you have anything else that was inspired by this call, I would like one of my kind of, I don't know if it's a resolution, but I would like us to do more videos in this next year. I think I'm a little scared of oversharing, and but I kind of think it's a good thing to push up against.
I think so too.
Yeah. Thank you for watching. If you made it all the way through, thank you for watching this long. I don't know how long it's been. I can't see the time, but it's been a long time. Mm-hmm. And let us know. I don't know. I feel very happy. Thank you for watching and following and maybe coming to something we've done and loving us, and hope to see you this year, sometime, somewhere.
2020 it is.
2020. And if you don't know, you can find a list of our events at embodiedintimacyevents.com. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.